only took a single email for a Pune-based company to lose 4 crores. How? The scammer impersonated the managing director and tricked a senior account officer into transferring the funds. This is not an isolated incident. Indian companies are grappling with the wave of phishing, UPI, and impersonation frauds. Hi everyone, I am Sonal Alag, and today we will explore together how Indian companies are getting duped by phishing, fraud, and fake invoicing, and how to fight them back. We'll break down these scams and also arm you with the legal and practical steps to fight them right back. The first of these scams is the spear phishing finance team, and the target is your account department. What happens is that fraudsters specifically target the employees who handle money, that is your CFO, your finance manager, your accountant. They send highly convincing emails that appear to come from trusted sources, a known vendor, a bank account, or even a colleague, and often urgent requests. The goal is to make the employee click a malicious link and share the sensitive information. One click can give away your company's email password or install a bad software or hijack the system. Under the hood, this is impersonation and cheating, squarely illegal. The Information Technology Act and other criminal laws of India punishes these offences. Now, if I have to actually give an example, imagine your accounts executive receives an email that exactly looks like you're getting it from your bank, asking you to verify your company's net banking login because of a suspicious activity. Now, in a rush, they click the link, which leads to a fake login page. They enter the credentials and boom, now the fraudster have the key to your bank account. This kind of target phishing happened for real. In one of the cases, the hackers sent a tailored email to company's finance department, and once they got the password, they initiated the unauthorized transfers out of the company account. In Mumbai in 2021, a mid-sized export firm faced this, and the hijackers stole 80 lakh rupees before being detected. Now, the question is that how can you fight it back? Answer is train your staff, especially your finance team, to spot phishing red flags. Mismatched email domains, spelling errors, and unusual requests for confidential data. Implement technical safeguards too, like two-factor authentication on email and banking. So even a stolen password alone isn't enough for the criminals. Now, legally, if you get phished, act fast. Under the RBI guidelines, swift reporting of a fraudulent bank transfer can improve the chance of freezing of the funds. File a complaint with the cyber criminal cell immediately, providing email headers and any evidence that you have, guys. The faster law enforcement is alerted, the better are the chances to catch the trail and catch the culprit. The second type of scams is the UPI scam, QR code and instant payment cons. Now, what happens that UPI has revolutionized payments in India, and scammers know it. A common scenario: a fraudster pretend to be a client or a customer and insist on paying via UPI. They send a QR code or a payment link telling you, scan this and you will receive the money. Your account person, expecting to receive 50,000, scans the code in Google Pay or Paytm and instead ends up losing 50,000. What is the trick? Scanning the QR code actually triggered a payment that is send money rather than receive money. Other UPI scams include fake UPI apps, request money traps, or even scammers who deliberately send a small amount to your account and then call that pretending to be from the bank to refund a mistaken transfer. All rushes to get your money stolen by stealing your UPI PIN. Legally, these are electronic frauds, and all of this comes under cyber cheating. A real life example is that a Bangalore entrepreneur selling products online got a call from someone claiming to represent a big retail chain interested in buying bulk orders. Now, to confirm the first token of payment, the retailer sent a formal looking email with a QR code of rupees 5,000. Now, eager to close the deal, the seller scanned the code and instant 5,000 was withdrawn from her account. The scammer had used the QR code scam. Now, embarrassed, she did not even nearly report it, thinking it was a small amount. When she reached out to us a week later, the scammer triggered a trick on another business, and this time it was even a larger amount. The pattern was caught only when we filed a criminal complaint on her behalf, and we came to know that there are many such complaints against the same scanner. So the lesson learned is that any QR code or link that you have been asked to scan to receive money is a red flag, because UPI doesn't work that way. That way, guys, you receive money without scanning anything or entering your UPI PIN. How to fight this back if you're caught in it? As a rule, never enter your UPI PIN unless you are actively sending money to somebody. Treat QR code or payment links from stranger with extreme caution. If someone pressurizes you on a call to act immediately, offer is for 5 minutes, it's a red flag, it's a scam. Legitimate business will not force you to make money through odd methods. Ensure that your company's financial policies require verification of a payer identity for online payments. So if you get duped, even then, report the UPI transaction ID to your bank and to the National Cyber Crime Portal. The NPCI, which runs the UPI, and the law enforcement can sometimes help to trace and even reverse the fraudulent transaction if reported in time. So, as a last legal tip for this scam, keep the evidence, the scammer's messages, screenshots, the fake payment request, because this all will be crucial at the time of the investigation. The third type of scam is email spoofing, the boss said so scam. This is a highly targeted con known as the CEO fraud or whale phishing. Now, scammers impersonate a high-ranking official, CEO, MD, CFO, and instruct someone lower in the finance to transfer the funds or without disclosing the sensitive info. The communication looks authentic and the email address might be almost identical to CEOs. The tone exploits their hierarchy. I'm traveling. I need you to urgently write 20 lakhs to this account for a deal. It's confidential. I'll explain you later. Regards, CEO. An employee not wanting to actually question the boss just complies. By the time anyone realizes that CEO never sent the email, the money is gone to an overseas account. This is outright fraud and impersonation. Indian criminal laws are routinely applied to this situation, and the IT Act provisions for identity theft and computer impersonation back them up. The fact our laws specifically recognize this modus operandi, many charge sheets explicitly mention impersonated a company official via email defraud. In Pune 2024, a senior account manager got an email appeared to be from the company's managing director instructing her to transfer 4 crore over a week to certain accounts for a confidential acquisition. The emails were so well crafted, even followed with the MD communication style. She executed the transfer in tranches, and it turns out that MD email was spoofed. The real MD knew nothing until the accounts were flagged. This whale phishing scam deceived the company by impersonation its head, and the money ended up with the fraudsters. Upon discovery, the company filed a complaint. The investigations worked with the banks to trace the money. Some funds were recovered, but the chunk had been withdrawn by that time. This case undermines how even experienced staff can be fooled by the authority bias and clever fakery. Now, let me just tell you how to fight it back. Establish a strict protocol for large first fund transfers. For example, no single mail, even from the CEO, should ever be enough for a transfer above a certain threshold that require a phone or a video confirmation. Educate top executives to be aware their names can be abused in scams. Many companies now include a footer in external emails like a caution mark. This email is originated from outside the organization, which can alert an employee that it's not a CEO mail and it's actually coming from a suspicious source. Technically, you can implement email authentication protocols to reduce the spoofed email getting through to your system. Legally, now that if you fall a victim, law enforcement can collaborate internationally to chase the funds and get your money back. Always file a case, always file a report. Case have been solved where beneficiaries' account were in India. For instance, in Pune case, one receiving bank account was in Mumbai and was frozen by the police immediately, which saved a portion of the funds. The bottom line, verify before you comply, no matter whoever is asking you to do it. The fourth type of scam is WhatsApp and Messenger frauds, the impersonation on chats. As companies have tightened their email security, scammers have shifted to messaging apps like WhatsApp. In these scams, the fraudster uses a WhatsApp account with the profile picture and the name of a senior executive or vendor and message the employee. Hello, I am Mr. Rajesh from XYG Corporation. That could be a vendor. My number has changed. Please save. I have an urgent payment detail to share. And then they ask for some payment or the confidential data. Now, one prevalent version is the WhatsApp CEO scam, similar to email CEO fraud but via chat. The criminal spoofs the boss's photo and then messages the finance staff from an unknown number asking for an urgent transfer. Now, humans tend to trust WhatsApp more than strange emails, guys, making this very dangerous. Now, from a legal standpoint, this is also an impersonation fraud. The use of WhatsApp doesn't change the applicability of the criminal laws, and if caught, the scammer faces the same consequences as I've spoken above. In fact, the law enforcement has become adept at tracing WhatsApp related fraud through the associated phone numbers and IP addresses. Now, I'll give you a very interesting real life example. In March 2025, the Telangana Cyber Security Bureau averted a 1.95 crore fraud that was initiated via a WhatsApp scam. Here's what actually happened. A Hyderabad company's account officer got a WhatsApp message from an unknown number, but the display picture was that of company's chairman. The message posing as the chairman talked about a confidential new project and urgently requested an advance payment of rupees 1.95 crore to the bank account. The imposter's story was that the vendor for the secret project needed funds immediately. Now, fortunately, the account officer found it little odd the chairman using the personal number and asking for money. So he asked a couple of verification questions where the scammer fumbled. She alerted the authorities. The Telangana Cyber Security Bureau moved swiftly. They coordinated with the bank and managed to freeze the transaction that the scammer was trying for. This case shows both the cunning of the WhatsApp scam and the value of quick skepticism. Had the employee not hesitated in asking questions, the money would have been gone in minutes. How to fight it back? Treat unexpected WhatsApp or text requests involving money with as much caution as you would a shady email. It's very easy to save someone's LinkedIn profile photo and create a WhatsApp account in these days. So don't trust a message just because it has your boss's face on it. Always confirm via a known official number or in person. As a policy, circulate the official phone numbers of the key person and the vendors with your finance team and clarify that any instructions on a new number should be treated as fraudulent until confirmed. If you use messaging for business, set a code word for within the colleagues for sensitive transactions. From the legal point of view, if a WhatsApp fraud occurs, provide the chat screenshots and the scammer's number in your cyber complaint. Police can actually get this entire details of the scammer and crack the wider fraud rings. Also note that the government's cybercrime portals allow you to report even WhatsApp or social media based frauds. Now, quick reporting can actually stop the scammers from hitting the next target using the same impersonation methods. In this last segment, I would want to talk about, or rather guard you with, how to fight back, the legal remedies and how to report these scams. Now, we have seen how the scams operate. Now, what should you do after a fraud or an attempted fraud has happened with you? The first is file a cyber complaint. In India, cyber fraud complaints can be filed online via National Cybercrime Reporting Portal or at your city's cyber police station also. Now provide all the evidence, the email, the WhatsApp chat, the bank statements, screenshots. Don't worry about jurisdiction. The system will route it to the right police unit. prompt reporting is crucial. For example, bank can often freeze funds if informed within the first golden hours of a fraudulent transfer. The second tip is have an idea about the laws and the section. Mentioning the specific laws in your complaint can help. You can just mention about the specific criminal laws and obviously the Information Technology Act. But at the same time, I would also say that don't worry if you are not a legal expert. We don't expect you to be. Police will add the appropriate sections, but being aware about these sections means that you are here for a business. These sections carry serious jail time, which means that law enforcement take them very seriously. For example, cheating in India can mean up to 7 years imprisonment. So companies should not hesitate to invoke these. The third tip is to collaborate with your investigators. Now, often solving these crimes require following digital trail. Be ready to assist, guys, whether it's providing the server logs, handing over a compromised laptop, or the forensic analysis, or just coordinating for the bank fraud team. In CEO fraud cases, the victim company's IT admin worked with the police to trace the IP address from which the fake email originated, leading to an arrest abroad through Interpol. These outcomes are possible when you promptly involve the authorities. Guys, the fourth tip is legal notices and recovery. The fraud was by an identifiable entity, your vendor or somebody you know. So apart from the criminal section, you can actually pursue the civil recovery, send legal notices, invoke arbitration or civil suits as per your contracts, because sometimes the threat of multiple legal fronts actually causes the opponent to return your money. For purely criminal cases, focus on criminal processes and insurances. Yes, consider cyber insurance for your company, because many policies right now cover the losses that your company might face due to the cyber frauds. So before I end this video, I would just want to say that the digital economy offers immense convenience, but also a risk of new frauds. By staying informed, enforcing checks, and knowing how to respond, Indian entrepreneurs can turn the table on scammers. Remember that every scam avoided or caught not only saves your business money, but it also strengthens the broader ecosystem against the fraud. And if you do fall victim, don't be embarrassed, just be proactive. As we have outlined that the Indian law is on your side, but it's only up to you to use it. Stay alert, stay safe, and when in doubt, always verify before you trust. I hope you find this video little knowledgeable. Do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone who might need it. Until I see you in my next video.